Today, inshallah, we continue with the topic, the book Al-Halal wal-Haram, the Halal and the Haram. And last time we talked about the rules of hunting and how to use and how to handle the food that you catch, and what are the rules and the guidelines we follow when someone is hunting, and what is allowed and what is not allowed. Today we get into the topic of, most of you are aware of it, which is called al-khamr, and you know the ruling of it. The word khamr, we poorly translate it to alcohol, right? But alcohol is not khamr. Alcohol in Arabic is al-kuhul. Actually, alcohol is an Arabic word, al-kuhul. But khamr literally means whatever covers or masks your mind or your brain. Or your head. That's why the proper name for hijab is what? Anyone knows? Khimar, absolutely. So khimar is the proper name for the hijab. So hijab, because it covers the head, it's called khimar. So the word khamr means something that covers your head, covers your brain. And that's why anything that masks your ability to think, masks your ability to make a proper decision and sound decisions, then it's considered khamr. And the ruling of khamr, as we all know, it's haram. It's not allowed. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anything that abundance of it will get you intoxicated, a little bit of it is haram. So if a big bottle of alcoholic drink makes you drunk, then even a little sip of it is not allowed. And that is the rule that the Prophet ﷺ said. Now, khamr was very loved in Arabia before Islam. People wrote poems about it. They had 100 names for khamr. They used to really love drinking alcohol and wine and all that stuff. So when Islam came, when it prevented khamr, it did not suddenly start and said it's not allowed. It started little by little, first saying how harmful it is. Of course, we all know the harms of khamr nowadays. Nothing worse than khamr on the societies. Murder, stealing, rape, committing suicide, accidents, abuse, domestic abuse, all kind of bad things. People get bankrupt, become homeless because they are drunk or alcoholic. So many harms that khamr caused to the society, financial, health, safety, security. It's definitely one of the worst diseases that the society can be afflicted with. So Islam started by saying how harmful khamr is. And then the next step was by saying, do not go to pray while you are drunk. Because one day, the one man was praying and he was drunk. And he started putting the ayat together. He was reading loud, and then he started reading the verses and putting mixing verses of the surahs together. So the Prophet ﷺ told them that when you pray, you're not supposed to be drunk. And then finally, 15 or 13 years later, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no more, no khamr at all. Now some people say, should we sell it? We have a lot at home. Should I sell it and make benefit out of it with the money? The Prophet ﷺ said, it's haram to be drank, and it's haram to be sold or benefit from its value. Not only that, a man came to him, "Oh Prophet Allah, can I at least give it as a gift to my non-Muslim neighbor?" He said, no. The one who said it's haram to drink it, also telling you it's haram to give it as a gift. Because we as Muslims, we don't just think that khamr is harmful to us, it's harmful to the society. Imagine you're giving alcohol to your neighbor and he becomes drunk and he comes and harms your family. It's bad for the society at large. So that is why khamr is not something that we should gift or sell or make any benefit out of it. And in the Quran, it's associated with gambling, it's associated with worshiping the idols, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says rijs. It's filth, it's impurity. Rijs is like really one of the worst names for sins to be described. Now, what about if I own a business that sells alcohol? Can I open a liquor store? A lot of Muslims, unfortunately, they have liquor stores. A lot of Muslims, unfortunately, they sell alcohol in their stores. They sell marijuana. These things are absolutely not allowed. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "May the curse of Allah be upon the person who drinks alcohol, who makes it, who orders it to be made for them, who carries it, who ask people to carry it to them, who pours it. Imagine someone working in a restaurant pouring alcohol. Who sells it, who eats, who benefits from its value. So let's say I own a store, but I hire someone to work for me. He's selling it, not me, but I'm benefiting from the value, from the money that comes from it. That's also part of the 10. And the person who asked for it to bought for them, buy me this, and the person who buys it to others. So this is 10 people that the Prophet Allah said is cursing, because it has all to do with khamr, or drinks that are intoxicating. Also, it's not appropriate for the Muslim to give it as a gift. It's not appropriate for the Muslim to benefit from his money, as we said. The man asked the Prophet ﷺ, what do I do with it? If I cannot sell it, I cannot drink it, I cannot give it as a gift, what do I do with it? He said, pour it in the desert, get rid of it. And that is something that, unfortunately, a lot of people don't pay attention to. Also, in addition to that, we're not supposed to sit down in a gathering that people are drinking in it, or using khamr in it. So if you are on a table and people are drinking, I'm just going with my friends, I'm not going to drink, just, no, that's not something that is supposed to be the Muslim. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever believes in Allah and the Day of Judgment should not be sitting on a table that khamr is being served on it. So it's very clear and it's very... Also, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the Khalifa, he used to punish the people who drink khamr and the people who sit with them, even if they are not drinking. One day, they caught a group of people who were drinking khamr, and they all were punished, except one of them was not drinking. They said he was fasting. He's not drinking. He said, start with him. He should be punished before everybody else, because he's not advising and telling people that is not right. Now, what about khamr as a medicine? Is it something that we should consider? When people ask the Prophet ﷺ, can I use khamr as a medicine? It calms my stomach. The Prophet ﷺ said, it's a disease, not a medicine. Don't use it. And many of the companions use that as well. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah created diseases and created medicine for them. And He made a medicine for every disease, but He would not ask you to use haram things as medicine. So that is something to keep in mind. Also, it's very important that we as Muslims, we should be bothered by it. If someone a doctor tell you, here, drink some wine, it makes you feel better. Psychologically and mentally, it should make you feel bad. So it doesn't help you at all. So that's the right thinking, right feeling of a Muslim when it comes to khamr, or it comes to these intoxicants. Now, the book, so they say, if at some point a doctor comes and a Muslim doctor says, the only medicine for you, it has to have some khamr in it, some wine or some drink in it, and that's the only, and it will save your life, then that's an exception. That's an exception that the scholars would say that's a situation, just like pork is haram, but if you're going to save your life, then you're allowed to eat from it. So these are the general rules. So let's get into some of the situations that we are living in. What if your neighbor comes and gives you a bottle of wine? What do you do? Reject it. That's ideally what you should do. What else? What other thoughts? Is it easy to reject it? Is it something that, or what if, you know what, you did something really good to your neighbors and they want to appreciate you and they came and give you? In my advice or my opinion, if they don't know you're Muslim, if they don't know that you're not supposed to do, then you can say, okay, thank you very much, without being upset, without being angry. Thank you very much, but we cannot accept this gift. You know what? I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink wine. I cannot do this. But sometimes if there's the benefit of making people more like you more, and maybe consider Islam as a religion, maybe there's a different way. So maybe, okay, you can put it there. Let me talk to you a little bit. Or maybe later on another day, you can tell them, what is that? I remember one day I was in the plane and I was sitting in my seat, and then an old lady came by and her seat was bad. So I told her, would you like to take my seat? And she said, yes, please. So I gave her my seat and I went and sat in her, all the way in the back, in her bad seat. The airline attendant, she was so touched by that, and she said, thank you very much. And then came to me at the end, me and the captain would like to give you this. And they gave me a bottle of champagne. I was like, I'm not going to do that now. But anyway, so what I did is I just, okay, thank you very much. It was in a bag. I grabbed the bag, and the moment I got out, I just put it somewhere. I threw it away. I did not want them to feel that I disrespect them because they don't understand that. I have another story, for example, maybe I mentioned it before. A community member was lost in the river. And that was a few years ago. And everyone was looking for him for a week. Of course, at the end, they found his body. He passed away. But while we're there in the search process, one of the people who lived next to the river felt bad for the people who were searching, all Muslims. So she went and bought them lunch. She bought it from Subway or Blimpie, and all of it was pork. All the sandwiches was ham and pork and bacon and all that. So she was so happy to come and give this to the people who were searching and said, I got you this, I feel bad for you. So when she gave them the food, the guy who was there, he said, oh, we cannot eat pork, take it back. You know what? That was the worst thing you could do to that person at that time. The right way is like, okay, thank you very much. Take it, give it to the firefighters, give it to the police, give it to somebody, but don't make people feel bad when they were trying to help you out. What do you think she thought of Muslims after that? Like negative, all negative thoughts, right? And this ungrateful, unappreciative, there is a smart and wise way of doing that. There's an organization, I have no idea why, they keep sending me bottled wine every year in the mail. And I have no idea who they are. So finally I call them and say, you're wasting your money. I don't drink alcohol. So they start sending me some other stuff like chocolate and stuff like that. So, but the first time I let it go, the second time I had to let them know. Owning a restaurant that sells alcohol, is that something allowed? Of course, liquor stores and stuff like that, that's not allowed. But owning a restaurant that sells alcohol, also that's something we should avoid because that's a very high percentage of the sales. Right? Buying stocks in companies that sell alcohol, buying stocks in Budweiser or other beer companies, is that okay? Absolutely not. That's not something a Muslim should be doing because you're promoting wrong things. Now, what if I work in a grocery store like Albertsons, Save-On, Safeway, Rite Aid. They sell alcohol. Am I allowed to work there? Well, you always ask yourself, what's the percentage of alcohol? There is a rule in fiqh that the general situation of the business, if it's halal, then you're okay. But if the general of it is mainly, like a liquor store, mainly they're selling liquor, it's called liquor store. But Albertsons or Safeway working there, it's a small percentage of alcohol. The scholars say it's acceptable if you cannot find another job. But try to find a job that's clean and pure. Gas stations and stuff like that. Owning them different than working there. Owning a gas station that sells alcohol is much worse. Because you're earning money from that. Working in a gas station that sells alcohol is less harm, less of a sin, less of a haram. So keep that in mind. Cooking with alcohol. Am I allowed to cook with alcohol? So many restaurants, when they make you some food, some of the sauce, they put wine in it, put certain alcohol in it. Some cake is mixed, put alcohol in it, they mix it. So to be on the safe side, avoid it. As much as you can avoid it. Say, no, I'm not going to eat. If you have a cake that's made with them, for sure, I'm not going to touch that. But someone would say, but when you cook with alcohol, it evaporates and it goes away. The alcohol itself is not there anymore, only the flavor. So I would avoid it. I would tell them, please do not cook with alcohol my food. Do not put any wine on it. I don't care. I don't like the taste of it. I don't want it. I'm allergic, whatever. Just try to avoid it. I don't want it. But that's me. And I'm sure all of you have similar situation. But there is a fiqh rule that says, when some food is cooked with alcohol, the food itself, because the rule, why people say it's haram, because the rule is if you drink a lot of alcohol, you'll get drunk, even a little bit of it is haram. I've heard one of the very famous great scholars saying that when you put alcohol with meat, for example, this meal, that meat with some drops of alcohol, if you eat 100 pounds of it, you're not going to get drunk. So this little meal, you're not going to get drunk from it. So that's why it's okay, it's permissible. I personally disagree, and I think that you should avoid it as much as you can. But not everyone is able to. Some people working as a chef in America, you have to learn how to cook with alcohol. That is something that's difficult to avoid. So we are just trying to give all the answers just in case someone is in a tough situation and they need something that will make their life a little bit easier. What else? Any questions? Yes.
When you cook with alcohol, is that considered transformation?
No, that's not istihala. But the food itself, because the khamr itself did not change, the alcohol itself. The istihala, you see it in vinegar. When you make juice out of grapes, it's juice, it's halal. Grapes, juice, all of it's halal. When you leave it to ferment and becomes alcohol or wine, it becomes haram. But then, if you leave it later and you can make out of wine vinegar, then it becomes halal. All vinegar is made out of wine, by the way. All vinegar. So when you get from the store, it says red wine vinaigrette. You've heard that? That's halal. Even because all khal, all vinegar comes from alcohol, alcoholic drink. So, but it goes through that transformation that you're talking about and becomes halal. So that is different situation.
When I joined my job that I'm doing right now, in the first years, my staff used to give me, alcohol during the Christmas time, and I took it and I just threw it away. But over time, I kind of told them
Good.
Islam and all that, and now they actually go out and get halal stuff for me.
Nice.
Cookies and stuff like
That's how it should be. It's better than from the first day. No, I'm not taking this. Just, you know what? Maybe the first time you take it, throw it away, and then the next time you tell them, or when it's occasion, when later on when things calm down. By the way, I don't drink alcohol. So that's the smart, wise way to do it. What else? Any other questions? Yes.
About vanilla. Sometimes like vanilla, like if you buy it at the store, it has like alcohol in it.
So there is different kinds of alcohol. There is alcohol in the mouthwash. There is alcohol that you use to rub your hand. There is alcohol so the vanilla itself, if you drink a lot of it, would you get drunk? Like this little abstract or this little bottle. If you drink a lot of it, would you get drunk? No. Mostly you'll die before you get drunk. So no, it's acceptable. It's okay, right? The same thing, the alcohol in the mouthwash. The alcohol in the mouthwash, you can drink a whole gallon of it, you're not going to get drunk. You will get you'll die before you get drunk. So it's permissible to do that. Plus, it's a different kind of alcohol. There's ethanol, there's methanol. The alcohol that people drink is different kind than the one that's medically used. You brought some point to my mind and I forgot. There is chocolate that they sell and it has something called liqueur. This is not liquor. This is not alcoholic drink. This is different thing. This is different material that they put in chocolate. It's called liqueur. Usually if chocolate has alcohol, it will say rum, it will say the kind of drink itself. But it won't say liqueur. Liqueur is a different kind of thing. It's not haram. Any other? Yes?
In the corporate world, most of the parties, the get-togethers, and
Correct.
so always is there.
Correct. So the rule is that you try to avoid it as much as you can. Now, we live in a non-Islamic society. Alcohol is so prevalent here. I think maybe one of the reasons that people don't want Islam to be spreading in the world because it fights alcohol so bad, and alcohol is a big part of the world economy. People live and their lives on it. So what I would personally do, I mean, if you're going to boycott every single corporate dinner and every single corporate meeting because of alcohol, then you're not going to have any business, you're not going to have any job, you're not going to have any social interaction with anybody. So there is a permissibility here as much as you try, but don't avoid it. Like sit at the farthest place from it. If someone is, you know that there are several people don't drink, sit with them. People have mixers when they're going around and drinking, and just try to avoid that gathering where everyone's drinking. For me, if I smell it, I stay away from it. I know I'm too close. So I try my best to avoid being too close to the point that I would smell it. So if I cannot smell it, alhamdulillah, I say I'm far enough. But yes, you're right. That's unfortunately one of the situations that we face. If there is no need for that dinner, like let's say my kids used to go to soccer, and they will have a party once a month for the families, and they go to this pizzeria place, and all the fathers are drinking. So the first time we went, we didn't know. We found out, oh no, hold on. So we stopped going. There's no need. There's no need for me to be in that party because it's not gonna affect my income. It's just a simple thing. My kid will not be with his friends. That's the end of it. That's okay. But if it's affecting if you're gonna go to every conference and not attend anything, then you'll be losing on doing business. You'll be losing on interacting social. Yeah, then there's an exception here. All right. Any other point? All right. Very good. Now, if you know someone who owns a liquor store, or that's what they do for business, unfortunately they say, but we're not selling it to Muslim. It's still haram. That's not. The right approach is not to go tell them and fight with them. The right approach is slowly. Why don't we find another business? Why don't we find another job? Why let's just get you out of this. It's haram. Little by little. But don't go so aggressively, because what I've noticed that the guys who own liquor stores, when they always keep told it's haram, they stop coming to the masjid. Khalas. They completely boycott the masjid because they don't want to hear it every time they go. So you have to be wise and smart how you talk to people about this. All right. Jazakumullah khair. Next time we'll talk about drugs, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.